The coffee in my hand had gone cold 3 hours ago, but I barely noticed. My eyes kept drifting back to the email thread on my screen, the one where Daniel forwarded the onboarding package to the wrong distribution list. "Welcome to Sterling Financial, Tyler Collins," the header read. Attached, a PDF with salary details, benefits, and stock options. The number glared at me. $142,000 base pay. Tyler's laugh echoed from the break room down the hall, where he was showing off photos of his new Tesla to the interns. My hand shook as I opened my own employment file, still saved as Clara Bennett or 2015 offer.pdf in the HR portal. $92,500, 9 years, 3 promotions, 14 major system overhauls, and this kid who couldn't even reconcile a balance sheet without hand-holding was making 54% more. I didn't storm into Daniel's office. I walked slowly, methodically, my heels clicking like a metronome against the marble. His assistant tried to stop me. "He's in a meeting until 2. But I shouldered past her, the glass door swinging wide. Daniel looked up from his phone mid-laugh at some viral cat video, his face freezing when he saw mine. "Clara, explain this." I slapped a printed comparison sheet on his desk, red circles around Tyler's salary, mine, and 6 others, all hired in the last 2 years, all earning more, all reporting to me. He leaned back in his ergonomic chair, fingers steepled. "Compensation is based on market adjustments. You know how it works. New hires demand competitive rates." Competitive? The word tasted like battery acid. I built the market for this company. The machine learning algorithm that cut loan default predictions by 37%. That was me. The emergency liquidity fix during the 22 crash. Me. Every single person in my department, I jabbed at the paper, came to me for everything. How to code the risk models, how to handle board inquiries, how to fucking format pivot tables, and you're telling me the market values their inexperience over my expertise? Daniel sighed. The same exasperated sound he'd made when I'd asked for a 3rd monitor last fall. "Clara, be reasonable. Your last raise was 3%, while inflation hit 9%, so effectively a 6% pay cut." I leaned over his desk, close enough to smell his cologne, something woody and expensive, bought with the bonus he'd gotten for retaining top talent. "I want a compensation review. Today." He glanced at his Apple Watch, tapping the screen. "The committee doesn't convene until Q4. You'll have to submit a formal request through the portal." The portal, the same broken HR system I debugged myself last year when paychecks stalled for half the staff. I stared at him, this man who'd once cried in my cubicle after his divorce, who I'd covered for when he botched the Q3 earnings report. "You're making me do this the hard way, aren't you?" That night, I didn't go home. My husband Mark had left 7 voicemails by midnight, his voice tightening from concern to irritation. "Clara, the school called again. Lucas punched a kid in art class. He needs you. I need you. Where the hell are you?" I muted my phone and kept working. The office hummed with the sterile silence of fluorescent lights. I pulled every file, every email, every Slack thread I'd ever contributed to, built a timeline in Excel, 2015 to 2024. Column A, projects led. Column B, revenue generated saved. Column C, hours invested. Column D, compensation received. The numbers screamed. At 3:17 a.m. I found it, buried in a shared drive folder marked archived vendor contracts, a series of invoices from something called Tri-Stone Consulting, payments every month, $18,000. $20,500, $19,800, all approved by Daniel, all coded under IT infrastructure. Problem was, I'd overseen IT budgets for 5 years. We'd never hired a Tri-Stone. A shadow moved in the hallway. I minimised the window just as Raj from security did his rounds. "Working late, Ms. Bennett?" "Audit prep," I lied, smiling until he left. My pulse thundered in my ears. The invoices went back 3 years, total $2.1 million, enough to fund a small department, enough to explain why Daniel fought so hard against my raises. 2 days later, I sat across from Catherine Walsh in a dimly lit booth at the Oak Grill. Her LinkedIn photo hadn't done her justice. Sharp grey bob, a scar along her jawline from a sailing accident she'd once mentioned casually during a conference. She'd left Sterling 2 years ago after a disagreement over maternity leave policies. Now she ran Horizon Financial Solutions, Sterling's fiercest competitor. "You're sure about the Tri-Stone payments?" she asked, stirring her gin martini. I slid a USB drive across the table. Every invoice, every approval chain, and a little bonus. I tapped the drive. Emails between Daniel and Tri-Stone's CEO discussing monthly retainers. They're funneling money through shell companies. My guess? Kickbacks. Catherine's eyebrow twitched. "What do you want?" "A job. Associate VP role. 175k base. And..." I paused, watching the ice cubes melt in her glass. "A 10% cut of whatever you recover when you report this to the SEC. She laughed, a low, smoky sound. "You're ruthless. I like it." The showdown happened on a Tuesday. I'd timed it perfectly. CEO Richard Van Horn was back from his Aspen vacation, tanned and relaxed. His assistant gasped as I marched into his corner office, heels digging into the Persian rug. "Clara, we don't have a meeting." "Sit down." I dropped 3 folders on his desk. Red for salary disparities, black for Tri-Stone, blue for my Horizon offer letter. "You have until noon to match Horizon's package and retroactively adjust my pay. Otherwise, I walk. And Catherine Walsh gets very interested in your offshore accounts." Richard's tan faded to a sickly yellow. He reached for the black folder. "What is..." "Fraud. Over 2 million. Approved by your golden boy Daniel." I leaned in, close enough to see the vein throbbing in his temple. "How many more Tri-Stones are lurking in your books, Richard? How many other Daniels?" He called an emergency board meeting. They offered me 190k, a VP title, and a 50k retention bonus. I made them add a clause, independent audit of all vendor contracts. Mark left me 3 weeks later, took Lucas, said I'd become obsessed. Maybe he was right. But when the SEC subpoenas arrived 6 months after that, when Daniel's mugshot flashed across CNBC, when Sterling's stock plunged 40%, I sat alone in my new corner office, watching the ticker symbols bleed red, and smiled. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was alive, humming with the weight of every secret I'd ever swallowed. Let them call me ruthless. Let them whisper in the elevators. I'd built this house of cards. Now I'd watch it burn.